The S&P approaching record highs and the Nasdaq hitting yet another new high. What can you still buy in this market? Jack Ablin is founding partner and CIO of Crescent Capital. Greg Branch is a partner at 1847 Financial. Jack, what would you be a buyer of?
I like foreign stocks. I would do it in a technology neutral way, given that the S&P 500 has roughly 27% dedicated to tech and foreign developed only about 8% or so. So if you can do it and keep that tech exposure intact, you'll get into a cheaper market that has a tailwind of a weaker dollar behind it.
Greg, what about you?
So my team and I tend to look at this in two distinct time frames. We're looking at things pre-election and we're looking at things post-election. In the pre-election time frame, as all the names you've talked about today demonstrate and all the results demonstrate, those leveraged to stay at home and work from home will continue to blow away their earnings. And so those should continue to experience tailwind. But when we look at post-election, when we start to look at 2021 earnings, you're going to have something very unique. You're going to have earnings growth approaching triple digits as we play a cyclical recovery in sectors that are trading at a discount to their history. And so we'll have some valuation support and surprising earnings growth. And that's a very unique situation. Some of the sectors that will display that are financials. Consensus is expecting 50% growth next year. Discretionaries, consensus is expecting over 100% growth next year. So we like for the long term to look at some of those sectors that are cheap but will experience hyper earnings growth in 2021.
No, it's a great point. And Jack, we have seen even this quarter, Disney's emblematic of that, much better earnings than was feared. You know, the momentum is on an upswing. Why not go for U.S. stocks versus the foreign names that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think it's really where we are in the cycle. So, for example, you know, our experience with COVID isn't quite as smooth as many of our trading partners. Their economy is coming back in force much quicker than ours. Also, they're trading at a discount, so might as well, you know, buy growth at a cheaper valuation. And again, not wanting to be disadvantaged by that move away from tech, I think you can still own foreign names and keep the technology weighting the same. So all in all, it's been a pretty good trade. And as long as the dollar continues to weaken, which we expect it will, trading between 6-7%, probably higher than its major peers. And of course, some of the other currencies like the Canadian dollar, probably 12%, and the yen almost 20%. More expensive than it should be.
Wow. All right. So, Greg, before we go, I do want to mention that some of the restaurant and consumer names that you're interested here in, you know, it's a tricky one because obviously as soon as we do get that breakthrough news on a vaccine or something to that extent, you can see this massive pent-up demand just being released. But tell me when you would want, as an investor, exposure to some of these areas.
So here, too, you have to really look at two time frames. And so what we're seeing now is that restaurants that are structured for the stay-at-home and work-at-home have, to this point, attracted all the investor attention, as they should. Things that are levered to an AM mix, like Starbucks, have been out of favor because that has disproportionately experienced a lot of the weakness, that morning traffic. Things that are levered to more of the lunchtime and dinner time and that are built for and on a platform of delivery, they've been able to thrive in this environment. And I think you'll continue to see that as long as we're in this situation. As you rightfully point out, once we are past the vaccine and once we have attained the herd immunity that we're looking for, there's a lot of pent-up demand, and I think you'll see very powerful earnings growth in the rest of the group in 2021. And the question is when do investors start to pay attention to that 2021 earnings growth?
Right. That's the big question. Guys, we'll leave it there. Greg Branch, Jack Ablin, thanks for talking us through these markets. Appreciate it.
That is the best back.